This area has changed a lot in the last, I don't even want to go back the years. People are more secretive. Take my next door neighbor, don't names or anything. She ran around with my daughter. Her mother and I were the best of friends. And I don't know what happened down through the years. She lives next door. She never comes over and says hi. So the place is changing. It's not me, because they knew that I was crippled. I couldn't use my arm. I mean, and I'm not lying. I mean, you can see where I broke it. And I'm still, well, it's getting better. It'll get better. But, you know, it seems like the people are starting to change. They're getting more secretive, standoffish. Why? Can you answer that?
In 1955, the newly founded National Science Foundation met with MIT and a group called Associated Universities Incorporated and decided that the United States needed a national radio astronomy observatory. So they started looking for a place to put this observatory, and they had several criteria. Chief among them was a place that was already very radio quiet because of the sensitivity of the instruments that would be needed to be constructed there. And of 29 different sites, Green Bank, West Virginia was chosen to be the site for the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and that's our history. We've been here since 1956, and we have constructed a suite of instruments over this number of years to culminate right now with the Green Bank Telescope, the largest fully steerable radio telescope in the world.
Sorry, I try to keep it tidy, but it's... I mean, there's even more hard things I can't tell you on a film. No one would let me. But let's just put it this way. People who went through Nazi Germany went through some pretty gross things that I have to go through on a daily basis when I'm on the road. And but at the same time, here I am in a modern free society. It's hard to wrap your mind around it, you know. Everything seems fine, in a way. It's just what you're going through. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't be anywhere. So you have plenty of time to think about philosophy and life, and to pray or to meditate or to just think, or whatever you do. I usually sleep on my other side because I have a painful condition. I can never feel comfortable being untidy around other people.
There is some things that he's going to show you. You take an AM radio and you put it all the way, an old radio, so that the new ones are too accurate. So, meaning it'll pick up a station or something. You probably won't pick up a station.
Put the radio all the way, tune it all the way to the left, so you just get static.
Now go over here just to show you, John, how just regular static.
So this area here is away from any electric that could affect
that might be affected with this dirty power that comes on the line. See,
and all you get is just plain static. Just slow, quiet static.
Right, it's just...
Now, as you approach the building, which has an electric meter and things coming in from everyone else's electric here, it starts to buzz pretty strong. And this is how we can detect, my wife and I can detect when there's dirty electricity.
Well, it confirms what we're feeling.
This is a product, it's like tin foil, but it's much thicker and it's got chicken wire inside it. And if you encase this inside, it's completely quiet now.
And see, I can tell. You can see my feet are starting to burn again. My hands get swollen.
The veins
The
start
veins.
popping out.
It's an inflammation, is really what it is. Just they were nice and
And you've
flat.
had burning on your arms?
Now,
Oh, yeah,
Now
I
look at.
have.
Now you didn't see this, but
This is from it too, from burning from the inside out, and on my legs.
see, she's got burns all over her legs too from this.
Sad, huh? Isn't that pretty?
I gotta move over here.
Oh yeah.
The problem with walking barefoot is sometimes the stray voltage even in the ground. So, sometimes you're picking that up. But I'm not that sensitive. Some people can actually feel it in the ground. I can feel it if I'm in a house and there's wiring under the floor. I can feel that, and I'm 10 times out of 10 correct. I'll say, can I see what's underneath here? And there'll always be a bunch of wires or something. But I'm not sensitive enough to feel it in the ground. Some people are, they say. They can feel if there's current in the ground. I can't really tell. All I can tell is that sometimes I'll feel really good walking barefoot, and other times I don't get as quick of an effect. So maybe those are the areas where there is more stray ground voltage.
This is where we're living, in our tent. This is my room at home that protects me.
Go closer, honey.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's our silver room.
We call it the silver room. So it's completely lined, the ceiling, the floor, the windows, the door, and it's the only way that I can unfortunately be protected when my neighbor puts his things on. So
We've been busy, but at times, like this morning, we were just sitting around, organizing our stuff. We're always doing that. Reading, playing cards, looking at land opportunities, and just, spending time together, which is always nice.
we've been married 28 years.
That's right.
So it's we still love each other.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, I had one kid in Boston, and then when I finished school, I had my second kid in Nepal on a bumpy road at midnight in a car. So I was in Nepal many years, and I worked for the architect of the king. Those were the happiest years of my life. And then when my mother died and my husband wanted to study here, we came back. And then I went to Hawaii for 7 or 8 years, and that's where I got sick.
I didn't even know this place existed. I was sitting in my house, really being affected. My skin burns. I get like a prickly sensation all over. My daughter called me and said, "Did you get the last issue of the week?" And I said, "Well, I've been doing the, I'm half in tears and I'm with a terrible headache and I'm doing the crossword puzzle." And I said, "I've been doing the crossword puzzle for three days now." And so she said, "Well, turn the page." And there was a 2-page spread on Green Bank, West Virginia. And so I read it, and she's like, "Oh my God, Mom." And I said, I know, I can't believe it. I like read it over the phone with her, And even the phone is hard for me.
By May of 2011, I was calling friends on a payphone, even though I had a cell phone at that point, I couldn't use it. I called friends on a payphone that I had known at the Environmental Health Center in Dallas who have similar things, they're either electrically sensitive or, and she told me about this place, Green Bank. She said, well, there's one electrosensitive person that it helped, and it's this place where they have no cell phone towers. And I said, I said, you mean there's a place in the world that has no cell phone towers and no wireless? She said, yes. I was here in 48.
Probably should ground.
You can discharge all that coffee through your
I
feet.
probably should ground. Is the ground cold? Oh, what do you do? No, Fetty. When those people were here, that they were filming it too.
Which people?
Katie and Nelson, I think that's.
Who they?
People, remember?
Somebody gave me laughing gas.
We make each other laugh.
Who are you talking about? I remember in the 3rd grade thinking, one day I'm going to write my autobiography. I don't know, like life always had a lot of meaning to me, and I would get kind of teary-eyed, I don't know, even when I was a kid. And then today, when I heard it, I realized like how fast my life went. So it was kind of a meltdown. It felt good though, in a way. It used to feel better here, and I had friends who would come up here and sleep in their car. They had protection though. Now there's all this dirty electricity running on all the lines, and it gets into the house, and there's all these other problems. They do data polling now on the lines. The lines were not originally designed for these kind of loads. They have DSL running on the lines, and they're tiny little lines. And I may move it. It's all, again, it's on skids, so I can just put it on a flatbed. So I may move it to another location. I'm not sure yet quite what I'm going to do. I used to feel really well out here, and then when I came back this year, there was some kind of wireless, something or other, so I thought I have to sell it, but then it comes and goes. It was good for a while. I mean, it was bad for a while, it got better, good for a while. So I'm not quite sure yet what I will do.
The GBT sensitivity is 10 to the minus 32 watts per square meter per hertz. To put that in some kind of perspective, the energy level that the GBT can detect is equivalent to that given off by a single snowflake hitting the ground. So a typical cell phone that operates at 2 watts, maybe even a half a watt, is a billion million times more powerful than that. A single cell phone in standby on Mars would be the brightest radio object to us in the sky. So it's imperative to radio astronomy operations that you maintain as quiet a radio frequency area as you possibly can.
Well, I don't have anything against the observatory. It's jobs, and they blend in with the community, and no ill feelings there. The main thing bothers me is that we get some strange people here, and which is okay if they just want to live here and get along, but the trouble is some of them try to convert us.
I knew Diane when she tried to take over the seniors building and be waited on and everything, and we stopped that. But I have nothing against Diane. She's welcome to come there. It's just gotta be just like everybody else.
She had so many demands trying to change it. That was a problem. And already to appease her, they changed a light in the back where she always sat. But then she would still come over to the other section where the other lights are still and just turn off the lights on people that were playing cards or something where they couldn't see. To me, that's disrespectful.
Let me turn the light on in here. The compact fluorescent lights are dangerous for 2 reasons. One, they emit an electromagnetic radiation, and 2 is that they have mercury in them. And if the bulb breaks, that mercury gas exposes people in the room, plus the carpet and the furniture and such. And I, from a voice of experience, 1 bulb broke in a motel room, and I was ill for 2 days from that. I didn't think about the bulb, it's just I had the flu for 2 days, and a month later going, wait, that was just after that bulb broke.
I don't know why, but a lot of the people who come and who say they are electrosensitive, I don't know if it's because of all the upheaval and uprooting, and then people do call this a brain injury, if it's affecting that, or who knows? I don't know. Or if people are purposely trying to make sure there's no activism in a place that's considered, at least on paper, the only quiet zone in the world. I don't know, but it's a very strange, I've, been there 5 years. I've been in and out at times, but mostly there. And I have never seen such a sort of insidious undercurrent. You almost feel like people are parading as nuts just to show that we're nutty. I mean, I'm not saying that's being consciously done on purpose or something, but it does seem very strange. I don't understand why. Because I know electrosensitives all over the world, and I never met such kooky ones as in Greenland. It almost feels staged.
I have a problem with stairs, and we got an elevator constructed. I've got some things to be carried up or down, but this is the elevator here, and I have pictures of different things on one wall. I picked up at a yard sale this quilt, although I'd like to get another quilt, one that's Anyway, but at least it's adding some character to the stainless steel walls of the elevator, because I wanted stainless steel to protect me from any motors. Sometimes we have high tea with open face sandwiches and cakes. And unfortunately, this is the largest teapot I could find, of being glass. With this type of teapot, then you can at least watch a blooming tea, which is a fun experience. So I try to have a little bit of fun here, or enjoyment here. It's not all depressing. The depressing part is when people do not believe you, and when people do not believe that someone is electrically sensitive. Those people tend to get rejected a lot. The families and spouses might say, oh, just get over this, and forget that, or just live with it. You can't, because it's so painful and it's harmful. And I'm afraid I don't know how many people have actually committed suicide because they couldn't tolerate the pain. I know a number of people who are very stressed because their spouses are not accepting of someone being harmed by electromagnetic radiation, and I need to stay away from the light because I still feel the fields from that.
Oh shit, I'm going in the wrong direction. Oh shit. I can't turn around on this, right? That's gonna be a big no-no. Big no-no. I think here in Greenbank, there is a huge percentage of unusual people. When I lived in Dallas, Texas, I knew hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people with electrosensitivity. And there was one or two odd ones, but not to this level of strangeness.
Some people have not talked to me for about 3 years now, and they're electrosensitive, but they just don't want to associate with Diane. And that time I feel the rejection, and it hurts. But as for being lonely, my husband calls in the morning, he calls in the evening, so at least I get to talk to him. And I guess I would feel lonely if I'd been without communication with him for a number of days, and that he had access to a telephone to call me. But if he couldn't, then I'm fine. And when he does not call for a day or two, and it gets 3 days, and I know he's in Iowa, and I don't hear from him, then I call and leave a voicemail, and I'll send an email if he's okay. And if he's doesn't respond to me, I have told him that I was considering calling the police because I'm not heard from him. I'm concerned.
See, they used to make moonshine up here. My uncle made it. He pulled a year in jail for making moonshine. Well, my God, everybody was making it. I shouldn't tell you my uncle was in jail. Well, he was in jail. He was a real good man, and if anybody needed anything done, he was the first person to offer. And he went up in this hollow. Well, this lady was sick. And I'm not going to use any names or anything. And my uncle hitchhiked up there to get this doctor to come down and check this person that was really sick. And she was really sick. Because I got all this from my grandma. Okay. Her boyfriend, or her husband, said that my uncle was hitting on his wife. She was pregnant, by the way. So he goes down, walks in the house, goes upstairs, and my uncle had his bedroom right at the top of the stairs, you know, the old-timey way of making them. He shot him in the guts with a shotgun.
You know, it's really true, because the woman I used to live with, that, you know, psychologically she made me crazy, but she lived without electricity since the 80s. And whenever I was around her, I swear to God, even when she'd come visit me here, all my symptoms would start going away. And she'd be there manipulating me, trying to get me to do something I didn't want to do. I should have felt really stressful, but I would notice, like, my stomach would be better, all my symptoms would go away. Then I'll go see an electrosensitive friend that I adore and feel so good with, but I'll start feeling sicker.
Well, I know when I hug someone who's not electrosensitive, I ground. Like
You
when
feel much better.
Yeah, when I hug John, like it just like dissipates it, you know.
Yeah,
but sometimes when I'm close to somebody, like that might be. Okay, something's bothering me. I think it's the camera.
When I'm next to other electrosensitives, sometimes I start feeling that metallic sensation. It's
So
bizarre.
now let me move away.
It's an extraordinary challenge trying to find places to live when your spouse has got chemical sensitivities as well as electrical. We came here this year, this time, to try and build a structure and trying to start a life for ourselves. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier just to find a house and just move in and fix it up. But we couldn't. We tried. We looked around all over the place. This product here is called a magnesium oxide board. It was recommended to us by a person in Texas to use for the outside, the inside, the floor, the roof, everything. It's very difficult to get mold. It's been in water, this piece. There's no mold on it, nothing. Bugs don't like it. It's fire retardant. It's really supposed to be a great product. The only problem is for people who are chemically sensitive, like my wife, the smell is killing her. ourselves. We spent all that money and time to get this board delivered here, pallets, big pallets, and it's toxic to my wife. Great, you know. It rains a lot here, up in the mountains, so a lot of homes and structures then tend to get moldy. We've looked around for places. It'd be a lot easier to find a place to live instead of build something. So, couldn't find one.
Oh, I know who. Oh my God. Oh. It's always like, this is my bloody ridiculous life. My life is so absurd. Oh, some kind of mouse. It stinks like him. I think I'm losing it, Fetty. I think I'm losing it. Today I'm really losing it. It's just, I think I'm so done here. I think I'm really done. I've moved 33 times, at least, since I got this condition, and now it's time to move again. So, I have to start cleaning up and packing and all that. I've been interviewed over 80 times, and it's happened repeatedly, over and over and over and over. These very talented filmmakers come in, do their film, and then it's always got the tag, there's no scientific evidence, over and over and over. And that is simply not true. I think as a reporter or a filmmaker, you have a responsibility too, because if it's something that makes my life worse, which it will, because I've already seen the pattern, I will have to deal with it. I will probably have to move away, or whatever. I mean, I may move away anyway. We're doing this for the person who's sitting in a closet, their family is treating them like they're insane, and they can come to us and they can find us, and we can prevent a few more suicides, we can prevent a few more natural deaths from this. That is the only reason I do any of these films. I absolutely hate being filmed. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. That's what my sisters thought. They thought I was just resisting the stigma of having a mental illness or something. That was not the point. I couldn't give a damn if I had a mental illness or if people thought I was really. I mean, you see the way I live. You probably don't think I'm a person who really gives a hoot what people think. I give a hoot about the truth. I hate having my picture taken, I hate being filmed, and I hate having my words distorted. You'll be gone and you won't have to put up with the consequences. But we will, I will. I have been subliminally harassed, stalked. I've had character assassination, and this is something I never went through in my life till I came to Green Bank, in this, because there seems to be some kind of little undercurrent political thing going here, or whatever it is. I will have to put up with those consequences. It'll just add to everything else I have to deal with. Then I'll have to deal, then we will come to psychology, which is exactly what the wireless industry and public relations, the public relations would love, because they're saying from the outside that it's all psychological. They would love to infiltrate with someone who says they have it and then, oh, I'm cured. It was all psychological. It was all psychological. That's exactly what they would love, and I wouldn't be surprised even if they one day do that. And who knows, maybe they're doing it already. We have been infiltrated over and over by naysayers and this and that, and you do wonder. I mean, I am not a paranoid conspiracy theorist at all. But when the same thing happens over and over and over and over and over, after a while you start to see patterns. You have a choice to do what you want to have. I have a choice. You have a choice to make any kind of film you want. I have a choice to try to live my life as best I can.
Can we go and get the outfit?
I don't know why people come here, but it seems to be like filmmakers kind of find it interesting, I guess.
Well, she was just telling me about the whole experience with what's his name?
Oh, Werner. Werner Herzog. Yeah, he was hilarious. At one point he goes, so what is this about the class 2B carcinogen? Because I said I wouldn't do the film unless he put in writing that he would say that.
Say what?
I said, you have to say that the World Health Organization declared wireless radiation a class 2B carcinogen in 2011. And at one point he said, he goes, so if in a decade, if the scientists all argue this now, and in a decade they finally decide, what does it matter? The point is that you're suffering. And I said, well, actually, Werner, it does matter because I can't go anywhere. And he said, oh, they were calling him and he said, oh, shut up, woman. It's really funny. And then he teased me, he goes, so you are a woman builder. He was teasing me, you know. And he just had my number. I was laughing. It was very spiritual, actually, meeting him. I changed that day. Like I got, and then they didn't feel any pity for me because that's how Werner lives. But he was really funny. I liked him a lot.
I had to go back to New York and work. It was the first time in 30 years that we've spent almost 2 weeks apart, and it was extraordinarily difficult. It didn't seem like it at first because you're focused on doing a plan. Let's see what you can do. I set her up with all the supplies. But after about a week apart, she said she had a bad dream that she thought my life would be better without her. It didn't register at first, but that night, I basically broke down because there's no way my life would be better without her. My life is with her. Our lives are together. I'm like a half a person at home without her.
This actually reminds me of being at the beach, believe it or not. There's a really cool breeze. No one's around, and the sky, well, the sky is not so blue today, but it's normally very blue in the Blue Ridge Mountains, so with the sort of white railing and being on the deck, and even though I'm way up in the mountains, very far away from salt water, which I've thrived near salt water. Gives me a little sense of being at the beach. I love the beach, but I live very far away from the beach now. But there's different things here. It's interesting because sometimes I'm, longing for home, which doesn't feel like here, and then other times this actually feels like home.
I had written this really long novel, and I wanted to make a film of it, or have it made into a film. It's sort of the old ways in Nepal, that would soon be dying to the modern world. Like now Nepal is full of cell towers and all that. So anyway, I'd written this novel, and on a whim, I saw Oliver Stone on Larry King, and he said, "What would you like to do next, Oliver?" He said, "I'd like to do a romance, a contemporary romance." He said, "But how do you do a contemporary romance? The modern world is not romantic." So on a fluke, I sent him this fan letter, and I sent my synopsis and everything, and one day I came home, and there was a message on the machine. It was his assistant. "Oliver said you might be interested in doing a film." So excited. I went swimming for 5 miles in the ocean. I still couldn't calm down. And then I started working on the computer 20 hours a day. I mean, the idea that a computer could harm you physically just would have been the most ludicrous thing I could imagine at that time. The night before I shipped it out, I came down with an infection, and I had to take the antibiotic, ciprofloxacin, and then I was deathly ill, and so I couldn't follow up. I had met an agent and everything, but I was just too sick. And when you get that sick, your whole priority changes. But it was a double emotion, because on the one hand, I would have loved to have made a lot of money, but on the other hand, when you really expose yourself like that, I didn't want to hurt anyone, and I was absolutely terrified of the repercussions. I didn't want to, very terrible to hurt people. Not wanting to hurt them, at all, but just the way things happen in life. So, in a way, it's the fear of success. I don't know if it was fear of success, as maybe it was that, but it was a fear of extreme exposure,
Bert? I have a notebook on my desk. Would you bring that here, please? It's a little one. Right by the, look at me. It's a size, yes. All right. You asked of things to be concerned about. And I know I missed a couple points because I thought I'd remember it, and then I've forgotten. I didn't get it written down. But some points to be aware of is which is safer, such as where to sit in a restaurant or other places. Where is the best place to sit? So even when I go to a home that I've never been before, I look at the lights, I look for the outlets, and I tend to stay away from those. Which roads to take, I mentioned that. Where to walk. And so that one avoids the power lines, or to avoid the electromagnetic radiation, which is invisible.
universe is really a huge physics lab, which is another benefit to radio astronomy. Instead of having to build the physics lab that you want to study something here on the Earth and spend billions of dollars to do that, those things are generally already occurring in space. So chemists can use radio telescopes to look for signature molecules in space or discover new molecules in space. And one of the big discoveries of the GBT has been the discovery of the basic sugars that make up the building blocks of life. And where they thought that they may be very sparse in the universe, the GBT has actually determined that they are everywhere in the universe.
I love life. I love being able to run around barefooted out here, and I don't have to dress up, I don't have to curl my hair. I can do what I want to do, you know. I like my life. And I enjoy when I go out, most of the time, because we don't have, my son's a lot. He gets these people together, and I'm proud of him for it, because he should, you know. He should bring us all together. And he likes that. And my God, I just figured up the other day, he's in his 60s, and what the hell happened to that little boy that I used to take care of? He's a good son. I lost one. I don't have my girls. Well, my youngest girl, I can't stand her, so I try to stay away. I'm not going to say anything. You're a man after my own heart. Let's just sit here and drink beer all day.
We're done, Ann.
Huh?
We're done with the filming.
Thank God.
This 9-pound hammer is a little too heavy for my size, for my size.